I would like now to introduce you to our wonderful friend, a young, beautiful lady who came to us last year in need of help. We were so blessed to be there. Her mom called us on a Saturday afternoon, close to closing time, and asked us if we would be able to wait for them to come and seek services. We immediately said, of course, that's what we're here for. Come on in, we will wait as long as it takes, we'll be ready for you. We are so thankful that we were there, that we waited, and I would like for our young, beautiful friend, Katrina, to tell you the rest of the story. Katrina, come on up, please.
Good evening, everyone. Just want to excuse myself in advance if I do seem nervous to you all. Public speaking isn't exactly my forte, but when I was given the opportunity to share my story with you all, I thought it would be a great chance to hopefully inspire those that were once in my position. Sorry, excuse me. If there is one thing I was sure of my entire life, it was that I never wanted any kids. The idea of pregnancy and parenthood just never appealed to me in any way, especially at the time of my life 11 months ago. I was in the last semester of my college career, president of my sorority, working at an amazing internship, and just living my life each day the way I wanted to, without any sort of obligation to bind me down. Of course, all of that changed in a single moment when I found out that I was pregnant. It seemed as though my entire world flipped upside down right before my eyes, and I had no idea how to handle it. When I went home and told my boyfriend at the time of the news, he went straight to the idea of getting an abortion. And for the sake of keeping him anonymous, let's just call him Sam. We argued constantly over the next few days because while I was trying to remain strong and keep this child, he was doing anything and everything he could to convince me that abortion was the right decision. He would say things like, "We're in no place to take on a child. Our parents would disown us. I don't want to be a father." Even go as far as threatening his own life, saying, "If you keep that baby, I will kill myself." I don't recall there ever being a moment in my life when I felt so alone, scared, and hopeless than those several days. I could slowly feel myself wavering in my decision to keep our unborn child, so I decided to bring someone else into the picture, my sister. See, my sister believes that no matter the stage in pregnancy, an unborn child is a life that we have no right to make the decision whether they live or die. Sam, however, revolved around the idea that it's just a thing, and as long as there isn't a heartbeat, I'm not technically killing anything. Two opposite ends of the spectrum, my sister, fighting with every ounce in her to help me see that abortion isn't the way, and Sam, trying to reason with me that we would be doing more harm by trying to raise a child that we are in no position to care for. So here I was, stuck in a limbo between going through a pregnancy that I never even wanted, or ending the life of my own child and living with that for the rest of my life. In the end, I knew the final decision would come from no one else but myself. After days of lingering on what I should do and tired of feeling lost, scared, and confused, I blindly made a decision to abort my child. I didn't have the heart to tell my sister my decision, so I instead lied to her and told her I had a miscarriage. Sam took me to the clinic, and all I can remember that day was functioning as though I was on autopilot. Knots formed in my stomach as we pulled it to the clinic, and I couldn't stop the lump in my throat from pushing its way up as I filled out the paperwork and sat in the dingy, gloomy waiting room filled with at least 20 other couples waiting to be called back. I recall the eerie atmosphere and cringing at how run down the place was and how indifferent the employees were towards the patients, which is understandable given their line of work. After being brought to the back, I started feeling anxious when I realized that each completed step in the procedure was bringing me one step closer to murdering my unborn child. I could feel myself starting to regret my decision, but I didn't want to go through more roller coasters of indecisiveness, so I trudged through. Making it to the final room, I was given 2 sets of pills, one to swallow in front of the doctor, and the other set to take home and take after 24 hours. I swallowed the first pill, and Sam and I left the clinic shortly after, almost immediately feeling a rush of regret and sadness as I got into his car and headed home. However, later that night, I unexpectedly received a call from my parents. Fear immediately struck me as I had this overwhelming sensation that they were aware of the situation. I picked up the call and was told that they found out I was pregnant and that I was actually considering getting an abortion, Little did they know, however, that I'd actually got in earlier that day. I was trying to convince them as well that it was a miscarriage, but I knew deep down that they knew me better than that. Surprisingly, they came to Orlando the next day, making sure I didn't know so I wouldn't have time to run away. They forced me to meet them, and after hours of talking and crying, I finally confessed I went through with the abortion, and they broke down knowing that it was too late. It was also at this point I realized I only had a few hours left before I needed to take the second set of pills. But unaware of what slipped out of my mouth before I could stop myself, I said, "I haven't taken the other pills yet." My mom was confused with what I was talking about, so I explained the abortion process to her. Essentially, the first pill ceases progesterone production and prevents the embryo from developing, and the second expels the developing child. Almost immediately, my mother began researching and calling people and found out that I could still reverse the pregnancy, which I had no idea about. We argued for a bit because I told her that I didn't want to carry the child, that the new information meant nothing to me, and that I was still going to take the pills regardless. She finally, however, convinced me to talk to an outsider and that if they proved to be unsuccessful in changing my mind, then she wouldn't stop me. Deep down, I had a glimmer of hope thinking that I could actually reverse this, but I also realized that if I did, I would run the risk of causing damage to my unborn child, which would be so unforgivable that I decided that no matter what, I would still proceed with the abortion. Many of the women's health centers were already closed that day except for one, Life Choices Medical Clinic. As soon as we pulled up, I realized immediately that the clinic we were at was literally right next to the abortion clinic I was at the day before. Cringing at the irony of it all, I walked inside and was met by Miss Carmen. My mom explained the situation as I sat quietly by the waiting area. I was then brought back to a separate room alone to speak with a volunteer, Miss Mercedes. She spoke to me softly, prayed for me, and did all she could to get me to open up about my decision and why I did it. Quite a bit of time passed, and my mind was still set on proceeding with the abortion. After finally confessing my fear of the health repercussions towards my child if I even wanted to save my baby, she explained fully that that wasn't the case, and that the sooner I acted, the less of a chance my child would be affected. She went on to explain the process of abortion reversal, prayed with me more, told me stories of previous women she worked with, and even pulled up pictures of beautiful children that were given a chance at life. After, she stood up, looked at me, and said, "Let's save your child, Katrina. Let me help you." In that moment, it was miraculous how all of the fear, confusion, and loneliness I once felt was suddenly turned into peace. I was no longer scared of having a child, I was no longer afraid of the possible health damages, and I was no longer walking blindly in fear of the unknown. I looked up at her, managed a slight smile, and simply said, "Okay." Filled with joy, she brought Miss Norma and my parents to the room, and we all cried tears of happiness as we realized God's hand at play to bring us all together and save my unborn child. The nurse, Miss Ginger, provided us with an ultrasound to show us my baby, and the office went to work straight away to call out Dr. Littell, who works with the clinic to assist in abortion reversals. The care he provided in ensuring my baby would be healthy was phenomenal, and I can't thank him or everyone in the office enough for all they did to save my baby. From that day forward, they all became part of my family. I love each and every one of them and can't even begin to express the gratitude and respect I have towards their drive to save the lives of those that don't have a voice to fight for themselves. If there is one thing I want you all to remember from my testimony today, it's to not live in fear. Fear of the unknown. Don't count yourself out from the miracles that life can bring you each day because you're afraid of what you can't control. Pray and find your peace through God, and He will give you the strength that you need. Never underestimate His hand at work in even the most difficult times. While still in the womb, my unborn child strengthened the bonds of my family in ways I never even imagined. He changed my mentality as a woman that never wanted to bear or care for children into one that looks forward each day to seeing my son's beautiful smile. He even influenced Sam's mindset, who thought abortion was the way, into a man that cried the second he laid eyes on him and now wants nothing more than to spend each day with his son. Now, I'm not going to lie and say the pregnancy was an easy ride either, but with the support and guidance of my family and friends, I overcame each obstacle to be here today with my baby. I'm happy to say that my son, Gabriel, was born on May 18th, weighing 7 pounds, 2 ounces, 21¼ inches long, and without any health defects like I was originally afraid he would have. Through the grace of God and the love and support of everyone around me, I get to live each day with the most perfect blessing I could ever ask for, my son, Gabriel.
Miracle child, miracle child. Thank you, Dr. Littell. Thank you, Katrina. And thank you, Gabriel. Wow, he's a star. Thank you. This is the reason we spend long days at work to get to experience these miracles. Thank you again for your support and for everything you do to save babies, to save families. Look at little Gabriel. He's so happy and he's a talker. Thank you, Dr. Littell. Thank you, Katrina. Baby Gabriel. And here are the beautiful grandparents supporting their grandbaby. Thank you. It was their hard work, the parents' hard work, to try to find any place that would talk to Katrina. Their hard work paid off, and we are so thankful to God for parents that look to support their children. We unfortunately see so many parents who run to abortion first. This set of parents was fighting hard for this baby. So God bless you for all you have done for little Gabriel. Thank you. And God bless you all for your support.